everybody is born with a little something extra, and sometimes they just have to find it. A little something extra is that superpower that every single one of us has inside that motivates us and drives our passion and makes us do the things that we do.
We're all on the same team. Let's think about how we can make that team as inclusive as we can.
For those of you listening to our podcast right now, you can also check out our video podcast at alittlesomethingextrapodcast.org.
All right, Boo, you ready? No, just kidding. Oh, I wondered why it was squeaking. You were sitting on it.
Where'd the top of it go? Just beheaded your microphone. You scalped it. There you go.
Sorry.
It wasn't on yet?
You got it on video. We're having a whole video podcast going.
Was it on, though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's hilarious.
We're recording now.
Oh, see, we've already got the first blooper of the day. It won't be the last.
She's scalping her microphone.
Sorry.
All right, want to lead us off? Are you ready for a big one?
Got it.
Okay.
We are back at our podcast with my mom and me, the Gigi,
Woohoo.
and the Vanko too. So welcome back to our podcast.
What's our
little
podcast called?
Oh, I was having extra.
Woo! A little something extra. And we got something really extra today, Franco. Want to talk to us about our guest today?
We got a great guest today who is really making some big differences in a community that's pretty nearby.
Yeah, which
Down
is
in
really
Kane
awesome.
County. Yeah, so we love being able to have some local friends on the show. So I'm gonna read a little bio about our guest today, and then we're gonna welcome him on. So today we are joined by Dim Ciaula.
Dim?
Jim. Did
Oh,
I say Jim?
I thought I heard it dim.
Jim Ciaula, Executive Director of CASA Kane County, and a passionate advocate for change. Recently, he was honored with the 2024 William D. Barth Community Service Award, and Jim holds many roles in supporting in his community. In his role at CASA, he leads this volunteer-driven nonprofit that is dedicated to giving children a voice in court and hope for a better future.
Wow.
He is the founder also of Random Acts Matter, which inspires individuals to foster compassion and kindness through acts of support and connection. Jim is involved with many other community organizations as well, and he's dedicated to creating value and impact, is truly making a difference in his communities. So, Jim, we're thrilled to have you on the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, Gigi wants to kick us off. Typically, I just steal the show from her and I jump right into our questioning. But to keep Gigi engaged today, she's starting off with question number 1.
What do you got?
Hi, Jim. Thank you for joining us today. Tell us about you.
Oh, tell us about you.
Oh, wow. So I have been born and raised in Chicago. Grew up here my whole life, never deviated out. I grew up in the northwest side of the city, went to DePaul University, spent 30 plus years in financial services, and I'm a dad of 1. My daughter's getting married at the end of January in Disney.
Oh, wow.
So we're excited for that. And a lot of once I left my banking career, I've continued a focus of really trying to get engaged in the community and make small little things to make a difference in where we are.
Well, it seems like you're making a lot of difference in a lot of different places. And I love CASA. So can you kind of explain what CASA is and what you do over there and how you support these amazing kids?
Sure, thank you. So CASA is a nonprofit. It's a volunteer-driven organization that's dedicated to advocating for children who have experienced abuse and neglect and then placed into foster care. Our role as CASA is we recruit, train, and supervise volunteers throughout the community who act as the child's voice and the judge's eyes and ears throughout the time that they're in juvenile court. I started as a volunteer here many years ago doing fundraising events. And today I have the privilege of being the executive director for CASA Kane County, where we're currently served in 2024 over 638 children over the course of the year. Our volunteers are guardian ad litems. They are appointed by the court.
Got it.
So the way we're structured is the volunteer is trained, and then appointed by the court as a guardian ad litem, and then assigned to the case. They remain on that case, ideally through the entire time that the child is in foster care, because the goal is they may end up being the only constant in that child's life, until which time they're either placed back at home or adopted, or unfortunately some age out. So
That is
the
so
CASA
crazy.
is a very important role. Our structure within the nonprofit is we have a trainer who actually does all the training of our own staff and the volunteers. We have an advocate supervisor group. Most of them are social workers or something with that kind of background. Child welfare specialists. They manage the volunteers and anywhere from 20 to 30 cases at a time that they're part of. And then we have a couple of attorneys on staff that actually represent our guardian ad litems in court when the cases are heard. And then we have a development team, because as a nonprofit, we need to raise money through donations, events, grants, and all of that nature.
Right.
So in the foster care system and the judicial system, they don't have like a social worker that's assigned to each one of these kids to be able to go through this entire process with them?
I was kind of sharing their experience, but in the way it works today is a child comes in, someone reports that abuse and neglect has occurred. It gets investigated by DCFS. Ultimately, there is a case opened, and we're at the table. We are the child's advocate, considering their voice. How well are they doing? Are they getting all the services that they need?
Yeah.
Kind of monitoring and overseeing it. DCFS primarily oversees the parents' service plan, ensuring that they're getting all the services and everything that they need, because the goal of foster care system is reunification.
Right.
And that's about 50% of the time.
I was going to ask, wow, only 50%, 50% go back to the families, 50 go into the system.
Right, and another 40-ish% is adoption. And then the rest, myriad of ways, like they may be in a special group home, they may age out of the system and things of that nature.
Wow. And this is all is it that like in the St. Charles area, or what is your demographic over there?
Yeah, so our scope is Kane County, and we're a national organization, but we're each our own separate individual 501c3.
Right.
There's 150 CASAs across the nation, 33 in Illinois.
Wow. And yours alone handled 664 kids last year.
Yeah, we're one of the largest
Jeez.
in the state that's a guardian ad litem program.
Wow.
Outside of Chicago, and but we, as a guardian ad litem program, we serve all cases, and in Chicago they're not a guardian ad litem city, so they're only serving a fraction of their children.
Really? Oh my
So with all those kids, then how many different volunteers do you have in?
We have almost 200 volunteers.
Amazing.
And we can keep another 50 because the number of cases since 2019 has increased substantially, and therefore we need our volunteer pool hasn't grown as quickly as our number of cases have grown.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Well, get it out there, brother.
Yeah, that's unbelievable though. So how did you then end up getting? So you said you volunteered originally, and now you're with CASA. So what was that impact life that it had on you when you were volunteering there?
It's really interesting because as a volunteer, just on the event side and helping them raise money, I knew about the general approach of, advocating for the voice of children in foster care, but I didn't really understand all that entails until you get on the inside.
Absolutely.
And really working here and understanding all the different elements. So let me just give you an example, and how amazing these volunteers are. Only about 50% of the children in foster care that come into care in our county remain in our county. They're placed in foster homes because the foster care system is all over the state of Illinois. So
It
the
could be
foster
anywhere.
care guardian is Illinois. So we could be traveling to South, close to Springfield to visit a child.
Wow.
Last year, 23, I don't have my numbers for 24, the volunteers drove almost 142,000 miles across Illinois doing child visits,
Wow.
just to put in perspective.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's amazing. I know at the Playhouse here we've had some, and because I'm sure you deal with kids with special needs, you deal with everybody, and
Right.
and we've had some kids with Down syndrome that are being fostered right now, and the family has brought them there. So if there's ever anything we can do at any of our locations, I mean, we have them all across the country. We have 61 locations all across the country. If there's ever anything that we can do when it comes to that foster parent who gets this child with Down syndrome, not sure what to do, please, I mean, get the word out there that we would love to be able to help them. We have some families right now that, like you said, it's a 50-50 chance, and the foster family, will definitely want to keep that child there, that
Yeah.
when and if that comes to be, we're very blessed that we've got some families that are definitely interested in helping individuals with special needs and Down syndrome.
Absolutely. And, like yourself, these are special people that can actually do what you're doing. And we've had one family who's adopted 9 special needs children
Wow.
Nine over the course of the years. I mean,
What an incredible
It-
group
it-
of people.
Yeah.
from this side, when you see the love, care, and compassion of our volunteers, of our employees, of our board and donors, and I've been to one of your events. I mean, it's just surrounded by love,
Love,
right?
yes.
These are loving, caring people,
Yes.
and to go to work every day, yes, some of the things we see are horrible. The cases are horrible, but the mission and the focus is what we pay attention to. And when you're working with so many incredible people, it's just,
Oh yeah.
it's amazing.
And to know
Yeah.
you're literally changing lives. Everybody there, no matter what part you take in it, even if you don't even touch those children, you're changing their lives by being there and supporting it, and your donors are changing lives. That's really, really amazing. And that child, knowing that when they go there, they're 100% safe. They're 100% secure. They are
And they have
with
that consistency in their life too.
yes,
To
which
be
is
able
amazing.
to have something, a person that's constantly there to be able to help you in growing and watching you and help you through this a really terrifying process, I would have to imagine.
When did it start? When did CASA, when did they realize this was a need and we have to do something?
In the 90s,
Oh,
there
wow.
was a judge in Arizona who said, I can't be out there on the street visiting with all these children, but we need to understand what's going on in the life of the child when these cases come in.
Yeah.
And they wanted more independent view, right? Because on face value, most parents would want their children to remain in their home.
Sure.
And generally speaking, children want to be with their parents regardless of what's going on,
Yep.
just generally, right? And so they really wanted someone that he needed somebody that was just going to take a fresh perspective.
Right.
And so I wonder if community people would do this. And he invited
Wow.
the community in to say, I want to have this conversation. And I think he said 50 some people showed up.
That's
And he's
amazing.
like, I think we're on to something. And this one little idea has now gone across the nation.
Wow. That's
massive
amazing.
scale.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a crazy concept to think that in the foster care system there really wasn't that emphasis on actually looking out for the consistent well-being of the kid. I mean, and making
Or one social worker has 20 kids.
that's what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
not being able to have someone that takes full ownership. Yeah. And obviously there's bandwidth issues there. You can't have
Sure.
a social worker for every single kid that's in the system. But yeah, that's just an unbelievable concept that needed to come about. So that's amazing what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
It keeps people. Now you have the parents involved, you have the parents' attorneys involved, you have DCFS caseworkers involved, there's the judge, there's their CASA. When you get to places like, are you returning that child home? Or are you asking to terminate the parental rights? These are very serious decisions. So by having those multiple touch points and multiple perspectives, it's very helpful so that the right decision is made. We very seldom return children home and they end up back in foster care.
Oh, that's
Very
amazing. Well, and that was something else. I mean, we've seen it on both sides here at the playhouses. We've had playhouses that have had parents who their child has been taken away from them, their child with Down syndrome, and they've been told to come here and learn more about Down syndrome because in a lot of different demographics, they're not getting the proper health care that they need. And when their child with Down syndrome was born, they didn't realize that they had low muscle tone or joint laxity. They didn't realize that when they were so bendable that you still could break their bones by trying to get them into their car seat or change their clothes. So a lot of it was just in educating. And we were grateful that DCFS saw us as a safe place to send a mother who's lost her child temporarily to learn to learn more about her child, because it's, the child with Down syndrome is different than her typical child that she already had. So we were blessed to be on both ends of that. And just so grateful for education, people like you guys who are out there, serving those families and those children, because it's so important, such an important piece. And didn't you also come up with where is that? Your random acts of kindness. Random acts matters.
Yeah,
What is that all about?
So back in 2017, a group of our friends from the community were inspired by a quote, and it's a quote that we don't know who the author was, but 1 million small acts could change the world. And in 2017, and maybe not much different than today, there was a lot of angst going on in the country.
Yes.
And a divide. And we thought, well, what can we do to just kind of unify people and have something that really looks out for our community and think about some ideas about how do we help them in a time of need and cross all eliminate any divides. Kindness crosses all divides. So we ultimately brainstormed and founded Random Acts Matter, where we provide care and compassion through small random acts of kindness throughout the community. Awesome. It's a nomination based. You can nominate your neighbor or a friend, what have you. Yeah. And some of the things involve like someone going through cancer treatment, or someone that had a loss in their family, or maybe they're traumatized by a dog or something that passed away. Just little kind of acts. And then there were two sides: advocating kindness and then fulfilling kindness. So part of it is spending a lot of time in the schools, connecting with children while they're young, to think about kindness. So right now, our school district does Random Acts of Kindness Week. They do a lot of initiatives in the classrooms to drive kindness. And we had one of the cool acts was a boy whose bike was stolen, and he used it to commute from home to school. His parents worked, and he needed it for his after-school programs. And where you go and get a new bike, like there's not really an organization. So this umbrella of parent compassion, we bought him a bike. And we work with community businesses that may even donate it, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we do.
I love it. That's awesome.
And how have you guys been further trying to put that out there and trying to spread it? Is it more localized? Are you guys trying to get this Random Acts of Kindness to be able to pick up? Because we'd obviously love to be able to help in spreading random acts of kindness happening and creating that ripple effect of goodwill.
It absolutely, the ripple effect is part of our model. So I'll be honest, we do it within School District 303, which covers all of St. Charles and a few of the outlying areas that feed the school system. Mm-hmm. And it is a grassroots effort. And so when we originally thought we could spread it, it really requires a whole number of volunteers and different businesses from each community. So we have strong ties with the mayor's office, the city, the nonprofit. And so if you were to duplicate that, you kind of need to rebuild those ties. So from a scalability perspective, it's not overly scalable because it's so launch.
Right.
In my perfect world, I'd like, we talked about writing a book that would be like the blueprint for other communities to
That'd be
adopt.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
I get it.
I think the CASA doesn't give me much time to be writing a book. At some point, we hope
That's the next step.
Yes.
to do that, right?
We have
Right.
to let Gigi ask a question because she's getting
We're getting the look. I haven't even looked over to her.
Yeah.
She's getting...
which one you want to do?
What random act of kindness have you done?
Well, he told us about the bike, but I'm sure there's other
Have
ones.
you done any random acts of kindness?
Yourself? I'm sure he has.
So one of the well, I'll share one that was like a little bit more visible, right? Just to kind of share different things. So I don't know if you recall, it was a couple of years ago, and someone had their 50th birthday party in Vegas, and there was the Vegas shootings.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
The guy that was shooting
Mandalay
in
Bay,
the
yeah.
crowd.
Yes.
And one of the couples from St. Charles were in that crowd, and they were there with a group of their friends for their 50th, his 50th birthday.
Jesus.
And so we didn't know them. None of us really knew them. But when he got home, we actually sent a care package just saying that the community is here for you. Glad you're home safe, kind of thing. And it's just really demonstrating that a community of care,
Yes.
right? And that's what we're really are all about. And so that was really one that was highly visible.
Yeah.
We also, and it's really unfortunate, we've had several and young families that have lost a spouse. And so how can you wrap yourselves around them and their children during that time? And we've partnered with a number of organizations that are willing to help along that journey.
Wow. That's awesome. It's important because it's those times when, you just had an experience, a traumatic experience, something like that. And to come back home to pure love and acceptance is awesome. I love that.
That's what's so important.
And it's really not about financial. I mean,
No.
you could provide care and
Yeah.
compassion because someone has a financial need,
Yeah.
And we did something for all the individuals that were in the flight towers when they were all laid off during COVID, and the planes came down and they weren't getting paid for several weeks.
Right.
So we had about 8 that lived in the community that we reached out and helped during that time. But it's really that broader kindness.
Yes.
We're not like an ongoing, like you can't pay your rent or something, which is, we might be able to share resources where you can go, but we're not going to be able to fulfill that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's so important too, because I think just to be able to know that you're recognizing someone and you're showing, hey, we see that this happened to you, and the fact that we care and just that's what's so important for people to feel is just noticed and
Seen.
cared for and seen. Yeah. And that's really where I think that message of random acts of kindness resonates really well.
Yeah.
Is in the fact that someone it's like, holding a door for someone.
Yeah. It's like Generation G.
Exactly. It's just being able to do those small things that can accumulate on a larger and larger scale when you have more and more people building onto
Doing
that.
it. Right.
And then just think of the actual impact that you could be able to make on the world just by one random act of kindness. And if you can get people to actually continue to replicate onto that, you could really make a massive, massive difference in the world.
We do something called Generation G. It's a conscious decision to be better every single day. Be generous, be kind, be accepting. It's everything as simple as holding a door, holding the door open for someone, smiling at somebody, or, as far as the random acts of kindness go, helping somebody who's down or somebody who's had a bad experience, whatever it is. But when we come together as a community and as a world, we are all a part of making this world a better place, and that ripple effect happens, which I think is really huge. And,
So
I love that you guys are modeling that right here in our own, in St. Charles, which is not too far from us here, Gigi. All right, go ahead. You want to go ahead?
What's your go-to question, Jubilee?
If you had one message to the world, what would it be?
I really encourage everyone to be on the journey of service and to others, and to work together to inspire love and kindness to build a better tomorrow. To me,
love it.
It's a simple message.
Simple and powerful. And I say it every time, when you serve others, you serve yourself, you feed yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that's the most important piece. Anytime you're helping somebody else, you get just as much help yourself. And that's what I
And
don't think people
it's about a
understand.
life of gratefulness,
Yes.
right? Embracing where you are, embracing the challenges and turning them into opportunities. And I'll tell you, I wasn't always there, but
Yes.
as you grow and think about,
Perspective, yeah.
you can look at this as so tragic, and never get out of the circle of this is horrible.
Yeah.
And why did it happen to me? And I'm gonna lock myself in a closet and do nothing. When you
Right.
open up your eyes to what's going on in the world,
Yes.
what the challenges of others are, you'd be so grateful for what you do have,
Yes.
what your capabilities are, even with the limitations or challenges that have come your way.
100%. And especially when you're seeing what you see, makes your problems look a whole lot smaller, doesn't it?
It's all
Absolutely.
about that perspective in life.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
So our podcast is called A Little Something Extra. And that little something extra is that superpower within you that drives you to do what you do every single day. What do you think is your superpower?
A lot of my journey evolved over time, and I had great examples in my mom and dad who used their skills to serve others. And I also spent 3 decades at a corporation that always was involved in giving back. And so that role modeling really helped me. But I would also say the real power is my faith journey really grew as I've gone on in my life, and knowing that for me, God loved us and we should love others
Absolutely.
really is that power of, it's not that complicated. It's all about love.
Totally.
It's a really great thought process.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
I came to service that same way because of watching my parents and the mentors in your life and looking what other people are doing. And that's awesome. And you know what, like I say about Gigi's Playhouse, like a higher power is guiding all this. And we're just so blessed to be sitting in the driver's seat, right, Gigi?
Yep.
Yes.
Recognize the direction that you're going in and follow in it.
Yes. Absolutely. So Gigi likes to do some tips, right, Gigi?
Right.
So do you mind sticking around for Gigi's tips today?
Sure.
All
Yes.
right. Gigi, want to get
Be
your
honored.
tips?
Do you see tips?
I did say tips.
Tip.
Whoa.
Sorry.
We lost it at the end. That's the first voice crack. And your
Wow,
tips-
never had a crack.
We've never had
All right,
one.
ready? Let's do this again.
50
Yeah, yeah.
episodes.
Take a breath. Sit up straight.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay. You want to do your tips, Cheese?
Do you see tips?
I did say tips.
Tips.
There we go.
Sorry.
Great job. Really hit it on the second one.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's
All right, what do we
okay.
got?
What do you got, Gigi? You got some great tips for today.
Ways to be kind.
Tips
Ooh.
on ways to be kind.
I
Jim,
like
I
it.
think you'll be able to definitely
Relate to these.
relate to these for sure.
Be good listener. Listen to people, make them feel important.
Yeah, be a good
Nice.
listener.
Always give compliments, kind words brighten someone's day.
Always give compliments.
Practice gratitude. A simple little goes along the way.
Practice gratitude. Is that what you said?
Yep. A
Oh,
simple
very
thank
good
you goes a long way.
Be patient and forgiving. Be nice when people are having a hard time.
It's a good one.
Always offer help, even if it's on small thing.
Yep.
Do random acts of kindness. It will cause ripple effect.
Woo! I like that.
Cause a ripple effect.
Yes, that's what
Absolutely.
Jim is doing and everybody at CASA all across the country is doing. So we thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story and
Thanks for
really
the opportunity.
yes, and telling us about CASA. People all around the country. You said there's what 533 or something you said?
There's close to 500.
500.
approximately.
Offices all across the country and people can just look at
Sorry, I lied. 943. Sorry.
oh my goodness. All right,
943 across the
943.
country. And I'm assuming
Yeah.
that every single one of them can
Needs
use,
volunteers.
Can use volunteers.
We all need volunteers.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome and helping giving a child a voice. I love it. We're so grateful that you came here to join us today. Do anything else you want to tell us before we go?
No, I thank you for all the good work you do, because we do partner with all organizations as
Awesome.
we find the need. So thank you for all that you're doing to change the world, and have a great Thanksgiving, and thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Everybody is born with a little something extra, and sometimes they just have to find it. A little something extra is that superpower that every single one of us has inside that motivates us and drives our passion and makes us do the things that we do.
We're all on the same team. Let's think about how we can make that team as inclusive as we can.
For those of you listening to our podcast right now, you can also check out our video podcast at alittlesomethingextrapodcast.org.